Hi guys, right now I'm going to show you how to fill out a flea map for your story. So for your beginning box, it's the beginning of your entire story. So remember we split our story from beginning, middle, and end. So the beginning needs to have a hook. So you're going to write hook in there. And your hook can be an action, it can be dialogue, it can be description, and it can also be a sound effect. You also need to introduce your main characters and your setting in your beginning of your story. So for me, my setting is going to be the beach. My hook is going to be an action. And my action is going to be getting out of the car, actually. Getting out of car. And the characters are going to be myself, my husband, and my son, Nash. So that's the beginning. Then in your next box, it flows from the beginning over to your elaborative detail box. Here you need to have 8 to 10 adjectives. Remember, adjectives describe a noun, a person, place, or a thing. So in our elaborative detail box, we can only choose one. It has to be either a character, the setting, or an important object. So for me, I'm going to describe a character. So I'm going to put a C and I'm going to circle it. And the character is my son, Nash. And then I need to have 8 to 10 adjectives to describe my character. And remember, there is no action in this paragraph. So your character can't be doing things, you're just describing your character. So I'm going to describe Nash. I'm going to say he was 10 pounds. So talking about his weight. I'm going to say blonde, brown hair, big smile, no teeth. I'm going to say a green onesie, which is his shirt, and he has gray pants on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need a couple more. He has blue, big eyes, and they sparkle. I'm going to say rosy cheeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I need one more. I'm going to say that he has an inquisitive look on his face. That means he looks like he's asking lots of questions. So he's a baby. He's 8 months. He's 8 months old. So he's just kind of like looking all around. So that's your elaborative detail box, which then flows over to your main event. And in your main event, you have the beginning of it, you have the middle of it, and you have the end of your main event. Okay. So the beginning of my main event, so the beginning of my story, we were getting out of the car. So the beginning is we are walking to the beach. The middle is setting up Nash's tent. So he's a baby, so he's in a little tent. And then the ending is going to be packing up. The ending of my main event. And then underneath each section, so walking to the beach, this is where you're going to have bullet points of all the things that happened during that moment. So when we're walking to the beach, we had to have all of our, we had our tent, we had our bags, we had our food, and we had to carry all of those things. So that's an action, but I'm also going to put some description in that section because I want to describe those things that are in our hands, and maybe describe how we're walking towards the beach, things like that. And my husband and I are also going to be talking to each other. So I'm going to add some dialogue in there as well. We're actually talking about, you know, how heavy everything is, heavy bags. So this is going to be a dialogue section. So we're going to code it with dialogue. And then we're going to, we're crossing the street. So we're walking, which also is going to have action and description. You know, looking both ways, that kind of stuff will be part of my description. There's also going to be some sound effect here because you can hear the waves in the background and you can also hear the cars that are passing by. So I'm just going to keep listing out the different things that are happening all in this moment of when we are walking to the beach from our car. Okay. Then setting up Nash's tent. I'm then going to same thing, do bullet points of all the things that I'm doing in that part of the story. So my husband and I will be talking to each other. You know, we'll be taking things out of the bag. We'll be popping open the tent. Nash is getting covered in sand. You know, he's crying because he's so hot. Those types of things are all going to go in here. And then you're going to code them with, you know, D for description, D with the quotation marks for dialogue, action, a sound effect, if the waves are crashing in the background, things like that. So all of those things are going to be on here next to the different items that I am listing out, just like I did in the beginning part of my main event. So the same thing happens in the middle, and then the same thing happens again at the end. I'm going to bullet point all the things that are happening at the end of the main event, and I'm going to put in the same categories as well over here, same descriptors. And then that's the end of the main event, the end of what's going on in the big part of the story, and then that flows down to the extended ending. Now, the extended ending always ends with a memory, a wish, a hope, a deciding action. The character has decided to do something and they made some big action, or a thought or feeling. And so you're just going to write down which one it is. So if it's a memory, you're going to write out memory. So for me, maybe it's going to be a memory. Okay. And then I would write what that memory was right there. And it's really important that the end of your story should circle back to the beginning of your story. Not the beginning of your main event, but the beginning of your overall story. So the beginning of my story was getting out of the car and we're at the beach and I'm with my husband and my son. So my memory might be about, you know, I'll never forget the time we went to Old Orchard Beach together. It was Nash's first time. I wonder if he'll remember our story. Something along those lines. So I just did it quickly and briefly for you, but these are the different sections for you guys. Hopefully this will help you filling out your stories at home.